and thank you for tuning into the Sunday Chronicle. I am your host, Giannis Jackson, and we're coming to you from Stax 92.1. And today I have a guest, a special guest, because he's not just a guest, he's also my friend and mentor, Treasurer of Ingham County, Mr. Eric Schertzing. I'm so happy that he's here today. And I'm happy that he sponsored the show to keep this going, this platform for the community, because community knows what community needs. And I'm going to step back and I'm going to ask Mr. Schertzing if he'll introduce himself, what he does, and how that connects overall to the Lansing community. Thank you, Eric, for being here today.
Well, my pleasure, Giannis. It's just so nice to see you and to be together here to talk. I'm a far different person today than I was many years ago or 5 years ago. I'm a farm boy from Stockbridge, from Bunker Hill Township, in the other corner of
look,
the.
I wore this shirt.
I said live, laugh, farm. Yes. No, that was, so that Lansing feels that reflected in the community through my work in the land bank with urban agriculture. Okay. So that's how that connects in. But for the last 29 years, I've had the honor of being a steward for the public in Ingham County, first working for 8 years with Pat Lindeman as the Chief Deputy Drain Commissioner, and then the last 21 and almost a quarter years, wrapping up being the county treasurer, including setting up the land bank in 2005, which has been a major undertaking to improve the community, and also has been a tool for me to learn about the community.
Oh, that's very good. I had the pleasure of working up close with you, and during that time I learned so much, and to come into that space and honestly learn about property taxes, how they apply to me and what they pay for, and then learn why, I got a notice that $10.86 was due to the Ingham County Treasurer. And I said, did I make that payment on time? I guess not. So after working for you, I understood that. And I think that's important. And the bulk of what you do is foreclosure prevention, right? Is that the bulk of it?
Yeah, you have to sleep at night and keep a clean conscience in this world. At least I do. And so that means, there's instances where foreclosure isn't avoidable, and is even the best thing for the neighborhood because of what's going on with that property and its negative impacts. But I don't have anybody on staff that's in charge of foreclosure. I have 4 people that work with me on foreclosure prevention.
Okay.
And making sure people are connected to the resources. As you experience, not as deeply as the foreclosure prevention staff and for the many years that I've done this, but this is hard work. It is. Yes, sir. It is like social work. It is social work in a lot of ways. And there's mental health issues, there's financial insecurity, there's food insecurity, there's dysfunction and abuse. Yes. And
so many moving pieces. It's amazing to see that. And that's what I got to see. And it was never a day where I didn't learn something new about the whole process.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to explain, and that's why I appreciate being on the show to, help the community, county commissioners, city council members, understand what really goes into the day-to-day. I think I've been in public service, which has really been, the mantra in 1982. Well, in college still, I started working on a congressional campaign and worked for Congressman Carr for many years. Public service is what Eric is about. Mm-hmm. But it's also very draining and stressful in ways that I think you kind of missed. COVID and the pandemic and certain things like that in life, helped us all understand it a little bit more. I think of a gentleman I talked to a couple weeks ago, trying to help him, get to a better place. I think the Michigan Homeowner Assistance Fund is going to help him get caught up on
Oh,
taxes.
that's good.
But I mean, he has mental health struggles. I think he admitted to that, and he told me a story about how he didn't answer his father's phone call. He didn't answer his father's phone call. His father drove down from the Genesee County area, but was tragically killed in an auto wreck in South Lansing, getting off the highway. And I mean, this isn't as uplifting as I want to bring some of these words, but then he also talked about a cousin that committed suicide in his bedroom around this time. And I only say that to unfortunately let people know that is a very common type of conversation that we really have, and those are the hard human situations that we're often dealing with in delinquent tax collection and foreclosure prevention.
Yes, it's a very complex process. And I know from experience by working closely with you, all of the different things that are being done as far as outreach, trying to reach people. If they don't pay a delinquent tax bill, can we reach them? Is it just a matter of them understanding what this is? Just trying to find that out and find people, searching for them on Facebook to try to see what you can do for them to keep a property. So some people might think the Ingham County Treasurer, oh no. So it's good. I'm very pleased that so many things have gone forth as far as you reaching out to the community. And so I commend you for that. And a lot of the times I know that you wanted to stand back as these things happen because it wasn't so much about let me get my name out there. So I really, I admired that. It wasn't about that. It was really finding a way to connect with people on a different level. I mean, because in the year 2020, we were all just wondering, well, how do we start moving forward again? What are some things that we can do differently to affect our community in a different way? So I just commend you for allowing different or exploring different avenues to connect with the community, like the mental health fair, and pushing out that we need to speak about these things in connection to foreclosure prevention, and even things like basic maintenance, paying bills can become these huge obstacles when we have or someone has an underlying mental health issue and may not even know it.
Yeah, the one of the words you used was connection, and that's really what I see as a lot of my job as being a connector.
Yes, sir.
The most important thing for people to do when there's a challenge is to reach out to us.
Yes.
Or if there's other issues, call 211. Very few people are dealing with the treasurer's office because their only issue is a delinquent tax bill. There's almost always others. And a line I picked up from my good friend, former District Court Judge Tom Boyd, who's now the State Court Administrator at the Michigan Supreme Court, is, when somebody's dealing with us on delinquent taxes or when somebody's in district court, it's just not their best day.
Yes.
And unfortunately or difficulty for staff and for the judge or the treasurer is, we've got to be on our game and prepared for that because it's stressful, it's tough. Too many people hope avoidance and ignoring it is going to make it better, and it's not.
It can have that snowball effect, but not knowing that, maybe even scarier. But I wanted to remind everyone that this is your host, Giannis Jackson. You're listening to the Sunday Chronicle on Stax 92.1. And today our guest is Ingham County Treasurer Eric Schertzing. He has sponsored this show. Again, thanking him. And we're just talking about some community issues, having a good conversation about foreclosure prevention and challenges in the community, and different ways we can address them. And the big thing we're talking about is the foreclosure prevention and how many things go into it, how many people are affected by this process. So Eric, could you tell me a little bit about the foreclosure. This might seem like a scary thing to people, but I want him to speak a little bit about the foreclosure timeline and what it consists of, the thing of how taxes were taxed by the city and it comes over to the treasurer. Just a little tidbit about that.
Well, the city handles the current tax collection every year on March 1st. Those are turned over delinquent if they're unpaid to the county treasurer. And then there's really a two-step process over 25 months. The first 12 months being a kind of an easy, inexpensive collection process. It's that second 13-month period that just gets expensive. So, not only do we want to work with folks however we can to prevent a foreclosure, where we really want to get more and more people in the community is preventing that second year of delinquency, which is called forfeiture. And I apologize, legally we have these forfeiture and foreclosure terms, and all too often, those sound really alike to people, but they're very different things. And again, reach out to us. There's programs, there's things we can do. Time is not the friend, to the person that owes the money. But unless we get a chance to talk, sometimes it's hard to come up with a solution.
Yes. And I want to encourage people that are having difficulties to reach out to these offices. This is why our elected officials are elected. They're here to provide and connect you with resources. And just me thinking about the treasurer's office, when I step into the treasurer's office, there's so many resources and things available. There's community papers. I also see things about getting internet at a reduced rate. There's resource guides and those sorts of things and information on hand to connect people to the things that they need to secure their basic needs. And so that's what I just wanted to get across to whoever, is within the sound of my voice. It's very important that we are educated and know what's going on with our dollars and how we're charged and what we're charged for. What goes into these property taxes? Are we paying for recycling? Are we paying for the library? What are we paying for? And this is a good thing. It may seem a little boring or a little scary, but this is what this show is for, to connect people to these resources. So I wanted to ask you a little bit, Eric, about your community passions and how you've tied that the position of treasurer into that, because I see you doing some cool things around town or around the county.
Well, it's elected officials have the opportunity to really do some good things. I don't believe that my best way to serve people is from behind the desk. Certainly spend plenty of time in the office, but you've got to get out in the community and understand the community, whether it's getting to know Jerry at the Fledge or Pastor Knox up at the Otto Middle School project, and understand the things that are going on. We are all connected. Everybody is impacted by that delinquent property, that forfeited property, that foreclosed property, and not in a positive way. So we wanna prevent those things, and being engaged in the community is the way to do that. It wouldn't be me if I didn't remind people to reach out to your elected officials. I mean, very seldom have I ever felt that too many people were contacting me, sharing their ideas for what the community needs. Mm-hmm. Because people don't track me down. I've really become a person that tries to track them down. And that's what we're there for. We have so many priorities that you worry that if you have too many priorities, nothing's a priority. Well, my priorities shouldn't be what Eric dreams up. My priorities should be what we hear from the community, from the voters, from the citizens, from the taxpayers, on what they need those priorities to be. And thank us once in a while when we've done something good. But do come in, do show up at the board meetings, land bank, county commission, just come into the treasurer's office, and say what you need.
Yes. And And I can tell you all that it's great staff in there that can give you some good information. I want to talk a little bit, Eric. I worked with you. I worked with you for a little bit over 3 years, and now you are transitioning. I don't want to say that you're leaving, but you're transitioning. Tell me a little bit about what's going on. I'm excited to hear about all of the just everything that's going forward. I know it's
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff on the
Well,
horizon.
there's probably a little bit too much for happening all at once, but my wife and I brought twins home when we had a 19-year-old or 19-month-old daughter. This has kind of been like a triplets experience again. I had the honor of serving the citizens of the congressional district for Bob Carr in the 1980s into the 1990s, the last couple of years in D.C. So my wife Nancy got a wonderful job in Washington D.C.
That's
but,
awesome.
But my mom passed away, and we came back, and I then embarked on my county career. Well, Nancy's has asked about for return is fair play.
Yeah.
So she has found her dream job in Baltimore, near Washington, doing restorative practices.
Yes.
So she's transitioning from a consulting business into a job. She started on Monday.
Yes,
This
congrats.
this past Monday, working remotely, and I'm transitioning at the end of March out of the treasurer's office, out of the job, into a consulting job with the Michigan Association of Land Banks, which I'm very excited about. I mean, I would say the focus of my passion has really been what, as county treasurer, I could do through the land bank movement and the Ingham County Land Bank. That has us having closed on selling our house in East Lansing. We bought a condo that we fixed up in the city of Lansing on Pierre Marquette, a beautiful, great location. I'm so excited
So
to be
we're
there.
still going to see you all around, right?
I'm my voting and my residence will be in Michigan. Probably Nancy, who's now a state of Maryland employee, will domicile herself more there. But I will be in Michigan a little bit more than halftime, I'm sure.
It's the modern day married couple. I think that's great. Just stepping back to say, hey, Nancy, I support you. You supported me. You guys seem to work so well together. You work great together. And I just love Nancy and the work that she does. And can't wait to have her on the show.
Yeah.
So she can call in. But so you got a lot on the horizon. So you told me what's next. And I wanted to know a little bit about just some of the fun stuff you like to do.
Oh, I mean, I love reading and traveling. I think my gardening would be
Yes.
one I would have said, but I think that's going to be on the back burner for a while. We do have a apartment in Baltimore that Mother's Day weekend we get the chance to move into. I love the urban context. I'm a farm boy, as I said, but my mom grew up near downtown Chicago in the Depression. So I mean that was part of the formative of my childhood. I'm excited to have these opportunities. We're very, blessed in life. It's just it's a lot going on, but I'm not going anywhere.
Well, I mean, you have a beautiful family, and see, I was hoping that you say the thing you usually, well, you don't always lead with it, but you say, "I'm just an old farm boy from Bunker Hill."
Just a farm boy from Bunker Hill, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You find a way to say that.
I'm careful about it because I went through a phase. I think it was when I was running for Congress in 2014 that was really viewed as kind of a hokey. What the heck does that mean?
Oh, okay.
And that's just the personality of the people you're working with and the things you're looking at. But I think that defines you in a lot of ways. I love Ingham County. I've fundamentally been a resident and voter of Ingham County my entire life. I hope I'm a person of the state, country, and world. But this is home. This is where family. And I think in Lansing, Michigan. I think in Baltimore, I can make a difference and do some good work.
You seem so adventurous to me, and you might, I don't know if you're going to laugh at that, but to me, because you seem willing to and I don't even want to say sing, you're willing to try new things, to connect with people that, and this is in my experience, that you're, have differences with, and finding that common thread. And that's what I think about when I work with you. And as I work with you, you mentored me. But it was never from saying, well, Giannis, do this, do that. You would give me these scenarios and just kind of lay them out there.
Well, folks. So with the land bank, for example, which has been around for more than 16 years, if it's going to continue to thrive and grow and be there, it's very much about Eric. I started it. It's imprinted by Eric Schertzing, but it's got to be more than that. And the people that have worked for me in the treasurer's office that are wonderful, at the land bank, they've got to believe that what we're doing is the right thing and it needs to keep being done. Otherwise, it's just something that Eric dreamed up that didn't make sense to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my family probably doesn't get the best of me always, so I give it to other other people, because you have your home and your work personalities. But and another thing that I've reflected on in a number of ways. It's probably a little self-centered, but the City Pulse, Burl had the reporter do a story about my departure in early November. And what struck me about that, which I've reflected on, is this is the county treasurer retiring. The short story, but that story, and Larry Cosentino has worked with me and interviewed and talked to me for 16, 17 years. We've known each other well. I mean, he wrote a story about Eric, the land bank chair, and so it wasn't all that treasurer stuff. It was the community outreach, the housing, the blight elimination, the urban agriculture. It was being land bank. It was that land bank activity.
I like hearing. I like reading about those different scenarios. It's good to see that the person, not just the logo or the face, but see the person behind the work.
Yeah. Well, I return to that just because it seems odd to me in some way that was the focus, but I'm not the one to judge, right? The story wasn't about talking to Eric. The story was other people reflecting on, what I've done in the community and in my career. And it was very flattering. I mean, a very, very kind story, but that's why I'm so excited to work for the Michigan Association of Land Banks. I mean, I really do think that land banks are a much more organic, community-focused and connected tool within the governmental family. Even more so than county government or perhaps city government, because housing and neighborhoods is such a fundamental issue for people.
Yes. So, well, before we close, I want to thank Eric Schertzing, Ingham County Treasurer, for being here. I'm your host, Giannis Jackson. This is the Sunday Chronicle, and we're bringing you the issues that matter with community, because community knows what community needs. We want to thank you for your time, and we hope that you tune in next week. Make it a great day. Bye.